How are you?
Good, doing good, man. Good to see you. Good to see you as you instead of what was that character's name?
Don't break kayfabe,
yeah.
dude.
Vernon, yeah.
He died.
Vernon.
Yeah, Vernon is dead. We did kill Vernon.
You killed him. Yeah, that was.
He may be
the
resurrected.
marathon telethon was great. It was like Jerry Lewis on drugs. I loved it.
Really? Thank you so much. That was what we were going for.
I thought Jiminy Glick.
Jiminy Glick. There we go. Yeah.
Look,
Jiminy Glick on more drugs.
I wish I could. I strive to reach the levels of Jiminy Glick, which I think is one of the greatest characters ever created.
Totally. Yeah, he's.
Are you a big comedy guy, Drew?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm just. I don't take anything serious.
That's the only way you can live now.
And that's why he's on this show.
Not even my shaving habits. I stopped doing that too. I don't take that serious anymore.
Oh, I see. Oh, that looks good. Everybody's got facial hair.
Oh yeah, we got a club now.
That's right, except for the Rand dog.
And
Doc.
And your mic is on. Are you gonna say hi or anything?
Hi.
Hello.
All right, she's gone. There, it's off. All right, Drew. We've been dying to talk to you, man.
Aw.
I don't know.
It's been too long, man.
Yeah,
I know.
Well, we wanted to wait to the movie, and now the time is here.
It is.
So how are we feeling?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Just getting everything wrapped up with all that. It comes out I think next week, and all that jazz, and got the Blu-ray all wrapped up and the DVD and such, and it's no distributor. Just did it all in house, and which is easier, but just like in the movie, how everything's kind of a nightmare. It's like the same thing too, and so yeah, it's been fun working out all the logistics and just kind of being like a one-man the distribution warehouse almost.
Well, no, I mean it's been a while because I mean the festival was back in March, and so I mean you've been showing the film for a while. Yeah, and it somehow won a bunch of awards too for some reason, and it's like what's going on here, and so all that stuff's going on, and yeah, I was like, well, I guess yeah, people take it serious, so I guess I probably should too a little bit. Nah. And so it's it's been very interesting because I did a movie before that this documentary on that band Bang Tango that never came out, and so it's my first time actually having a movie come out. So I'm like, oh, okay, I never got this far before, and it sucks just the same, but it's fun. Oh, the Bang Tango doc never came out?
No, there were song clearing issues because they were signed to MCA, which is bought by Universal, and then I was in contact with Universal to clear the tunes. And then, but like every other week, I got passed off to somebody else because the person I was talking to either got promoted or fired. So then I had to start all over again. And then I did that for like 6 months. And then I woke up one day, I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm just going to put it out for free. And
there you go.
Now,
that bureaucratic red tape bullshit.
Right, exactly.
All the time.
We should start. Hold on.
Are you dying today?
I'm dying, dude. I don't know. It's probably because I started smoking with Clark. Yeah. I'm doing 2 packs a day now.
Oh, good. So this is a smoking podcast. I don't feel so bad anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I was lying, and I'm deeply offended that you just took a drag of that now. No, but Clark, he's been bored lately, so he decided to get a new hobby.
That's how I started.
So yeah, dude, Drew, I turned 35 in August, and at the beginning of the month of August, for no reason, I just started smoking for the first time. The first cigarette I ever had was the month I turned 35.
That's awesome. It's like you turn 35 legally, you can become president, and you've been able to smoke cigarettes for 16 years or something like that. So it's like, why not start now?
I forgot this is my presidential birthday.
Congratulations!
Oh, this is all right. Good.
20. I think we're ready for you. Well, what's the next election year? 2024?
2024, I think. I vote for you, Clark.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'll write you in.
All right, I'm working on my campaign.
No, so we should go back to the. I'm trying to remember how your film got on our radar. Do you remember? Here,
It was 2 UFs ago. I think Russell ended up contacting probably you, Drew, and it wasn't done yet.
Oh, but right.
When the next year was coming around, I saw your Instagram and started talking to you on there.
That's right.
Yeah, because we were tracking it for a while.
In the early days of one one of my deep cut film programmer tricks was to look for found footage films on YouTube.
Nice.
So I would just go through all the trailers, and I came across one. I'm like, wait, Bang Tango and Megadeth are involved in this thing. And from there, I just started stalking you guys. And I knew, we're located in the Bay Area. So I'm like, well, we have thrash metal was kind of born here. Maybe we could like trick these dudes into coming out here. I mean, we are doing a only found footage fest. So I don't know. And then it felt like a year later, we ended up getting back in contact.
That's right. And I remember you guys reached out, and I was like, oh, this is new. Awesome. All right, cool. Then about a year later, because I was like, the movie didn't even exist when you first contacted me. I was like, I guess I better make a movie happen then.
Dude, you had a good concept. It's like, oh, somebody's making a documentary about the homeless epidemic, which is like real. And
right.
We definitely are feeling it in California, especially San Francisco. So I'm like, oh, rad. And then, the hook is that they're disappearing.
Yeah.
Now, at the time I was like, oh, this is going to play good here. But now I'm thinking, if the homeless were disappearing, maybe somebody would think that, the millions of dollars we've spent trying to house them was actually working. I don't know if anybody would instantly turn to a monster in a sewer, but
right, exactly. It's kind of funny too, because like the whole homeless angle of it was a byproduct of originally this movie was a remake of C.H.U.D with the guy that wrote the original, and so that was a part of the story. And I was like, okay, so that whole concept has to be here. And then when it started showing it to people, they're like, wow, you're really trying to say something about the homeless. I'm like, I guess I am. I was like, okay.
Like, I love film theory, and I really think when people come to a film project and they have all these messages and ideas they're trying to get across to people, those are films that nobody likes. Right. And they come through preachy, and you can feel the director on a soapbox, like just yelling at us.
Totally.
I mean, the way that people are, you kind of like fell into that. That's the organic horror way.
Totally. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because it's like, all right, so this helps move the story along. So we guess we got to have that here for a bit. And then the whole, the detective who's like, just pretty much shoots down every single thing the homeless people had to say. And then me and the crew are just like, okay, I guess there's nothing going on then. I guess they're just a bunch of crazy homeless people. And then we ran into the one last guy. Then we end up down there, and they're like, "Oh, shit's fucked up."
All right, well, Drew, let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
How did you end up penetrating this weird heavy metal bubble? A thing that I had been trying to do for a long time in my career,
still current,
and failed. Yeah.
Penetration. This is kind of crazy. I have no background in filmmaking whatsoever, and 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was working at a bar on the south side of Chicago, and Bang Tango was going to play there. And my boss is like, hey, Bang Tango's playing there. And I was like, what'd you call me? And I was like, what the fuck's a Bang Tango? But then I put them on the jukebox. I was like, oh, okay, my older brother was into that. I was like, okay, Bang Tango. And then,
what at that time, what kind of music were you into?
Probably Megadeth, and just a little bit of everything. I love '90s stuff. I love everything from the '90s. So I'm like a '90s kid. So everything from that.
So
era.
Which era Megadeth? Are we talking like '80s post Metallica? Or are we talking like Mustaine hanging out with Alex Jones?
Oh man! Oh wow! Nice. That's a good pull.
Well, dude, he made a couple albums that literally felt like it was all conspiracy theory stuff. And I am a huge fan of Alex Jones. I know he's so polarizing now, but just as like a radio personality, the dude is a fucking entertainer.
He is,
and
man.
I could listen to him rant about birds and lizards all day, and
catch him in bed with the lizard. And you ever see the interview with Mustaine and Alex Jones?
Oh, he's done a few, hasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, it's
I know
it's
Billy
great.
Corgan jumped in there for a while.
Oh, did he? I gotta check those out.
I never saw that.
Yeah,
to catch him in bed with Billy Corgan.
There was a minute where Corgan was doing Alex Jones and he was doing TNA.
Well, he bought TNA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he bought it, and it was just like
he did it for his brother, didn't he? His brother's like mentally challenged or something, and a big wrestling fan. And I guess that's why he got into wrestling stuff.
He's a super interesting guy.
Yeah, and he's like frighteningly tall too.
Is
he?
Like
I never met him or anything, but I saw footage from Riot Fest in Chicago, and you see him standing on stage, and it looks like almost like a sideshow freak. He's so tall, and he's like.
He'd clearly be Nosferatu.
Yeah, he definitely has
totally.
Nosferatu
Yeah, absolutely.
qualities.
Oh yeah.
So what kind of Megadeth were you into?
I was into all of it, man. So far so good. So what? Peace sells, rest in peace. Yeah, cryptic writings, everything. I just like something that fascinated me about Megadeth was how well-rounded they ended up becoming. From just being this raw, dirty, gritty thrash, like fuck you thrash, and then to becoming like really well-rounded like songwriters around like euthanasia, cryptic writings, and even Risk. Like if you don't call Risk a Megadeth album, it's a good album. It's got good songs, but not good Megadeth songs, but good songs. And so I soaked it all in, man, for sure. So like yeah, and another big one for me was Faith No More. I love Faith No More because like, no matter what kind of mood you're in, you throw on a Faith No More album, you get R&B, you got thrash, you got rap, you got everything.
Now the reason I find it so interesting that Megadeth and Bang Tango are the two bands is because in the Bay Area, whenever you talk to any like old school metalhead who loves to tell the war stories about seeing Metallica in a bar, it's always glam versus thrash metal. Yeah. And I mean, there's still dudes out here with like Rat Sucks shirts.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like they'll only come out if there's like a Harley Davidson convention or something going on. But like I remember because I grew up and I never understood it because I missed the cultural wave. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, dude, Rat is heavy metal. Like I found a lot of I actually kind of enjoy glam like on a daily basis where like thrash sometimes I have to be in the mood.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It seems like glam is just kind of sort of like, if you're at a party, you throw on glam, if you're if you're at a bar, you throw on thrash. It's like, like thrash is like, we're about to go do something music, and glam is just kind of like, let's get silly.
When you watch the videos and all the glam bands, that's where all the women were hanging out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
totally.
You look at because they were dressed like that.
Yeah. They were tricked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and there's a certain like sheen to glam. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels like inclusive. Yeah, in a weird way, because at the 80s, dressing like a girl, you would think it wouldn't feel that way.
I'll fucking
right. Yeah, totally. And it's funny that you talk about Bang Tango and Megadeth. And so the way I met Ellefson was, so I was at that bar, and Bang Tango was playing there 10 years ago. My boss was like, the day of, here's a camera, shoot the band, some footage or whatever. I'm like, all right. So I'm there, and then the singer of Bang Tango, Joel Estave, walked up to me, had long hair, I still do, I guess. And he's like, hey man, you look cool. I can find some weed. And I was like, oh no, man, sorry. He's like, oh, that's all right. What's that? I was like, oh, it's called a camera. He was like, oh, we're recording an album in Chicago in 2 weeks. You should come out and do like a studio documentary. I was like, I don't know how to do that, but okay. And then
no fucking way. Drew, I hear those stories all the time. Like Bernard Rose, I think he had a story where somebody called his like film department, and he was just walking down the hall, and he answered, and they're like, "Hey, are you a director? We need somebody to shoot our video." And it was what the hell? It's not B-52. It was that like reggae, the fake reggae group.
Oh, it's UB40.
UB40. Yeah, and then that kickstarted his career.
It's crazy how that shit happens. That's how it happened too. I had no clue how to make a movie, but then I was like, okay, and I kept on showing up, and then 4 years later, I finished it. Dee Snider does the opening narration. Ricky Rackman's in it and all that, and it's a brutally honest documentary too. So by the end of it, you look at the singer, who's the only original guy left, and you either like think he's like the underdog and he's cool, or you fucking think he's a idiot. And ironically, right after I finished the movie, I joined the band.
Now, okay, you yada it over a lot there. So you're like, I started making the movie, and we had an intro from Dee Snider. Like, did you organize all that? Did you like if you've never made a film?
Ignorance is bliss, man. Ignorance is bliss. Because I just found an email on his website, I think, and I just sent a message to be like, hey, we've got this thing written out for like an introduction for the movie if he's interested. And his manager's like, yeah, he'll do it. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, no problem. Get it to you like next week or something. I'm like, oh. And then money was never brought up, and I was like, oh, okay. And I reached out to Henry Rollins too, and he almost did, but he was just like, I don't know anything about Bang Tango, otherwise I would. And but he had me send him a DVD of the movie though, so Henry has one of the only DVDs of the Bang Tango movie.
All right. Well, we don't talk about him here as Clark hates him.
Look, Randy's a big Rollins fan. I'm anti-Rollins because there was beef between Rollins and Dave Brocky, and I'm Team Brocky.
Brocky was awesome. Brocky was awesome.
So,
Randy, did you want to weigh in here?
We all pick sides.
I know Randy's lurking over there. Oh,
I'm here.
He morphed into a letter R.
Yeah, I was never a metal guy. I was a punk guy, so
Oh,
more
cool.
more of a Rollins head than a anything Guar related.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And that's kind of cool. You got Megadeth, you got Bang Tinger, you got Guar, you got Rollins in this conversation, and it's all over the place. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, to be clear, Randy was straight edge until an accident happened at a bar where he tripped and some beer went in his mouth. And since they kicked him out of the religion, he just decided to lean into it. So now he moved away to the East Coast. He's doing heroin now. So he won't turn on the camera.
I tripped and fell and shot myself up on accident.
Oh.
It happens.
All right, Randy, I love you. There you go. So we've talked to so many filmmakers, and it seems that everybody agrees making a documentary is the hardest thing to do.
It seems easy. It's like, okay, you just got to interview a bunch of people, but then you edit the fucking thing, and it's like, oh man, what did I get myself into?
So you had never edited anything before either?
No, nothing.
Oof.
It I never had zero background in any of that stuff, you know. And
do you know what kind of camera you shot it on?
That was a Canon T3i.
All right, you know more than I do. I don't know.
I'm surprised to remember that, and that ended up going missing, and I shot Dwellers on a Canon T5i.
So somebody from the bar just gave you that camera?
Oh, it was actually this is a fun story. So but yeah, that was like a little Zoom video camera that my boss had. So it was a little like a piece of shit thing. But then after he told me to, hey, do a documentary, I was like, all right. Then I was like, oh fuck, I guess I better get a camera. And then like a couple of nights later, some bitchy stripper was a customer at the bar, and she was just a fucking bitch. And then I was like, oh, I can't wait till this broad gets out of here. And then she goes to use the bathroom. It's closing time. She gets out of there. I'm going to clean the bathrooms. I look down on the woman's bathroom floor. It's a wad of fucking hundreds.
What?
That was the budget for the Bang Tango movie.
Oh.
And she never
Wait.
tipped me either, so there was my tip.
Wait, I'm in shock now.
So you paid for the movie with stripper money?
I most certainly did. That's what paid for the camera, and yeah, there was like $1,100 there or something.
Congratulations, listeners! We got the best story of the podcast.
Okay, what? Hold on. What, were you born on like a lucky Chinese New Year or something? Like, you have a mutant ability? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever told that story too, but enough time has passed, so she can't hunt me down anymore, whoever the fuck that was. But yeah, it's thinking about it now. Yeah, it's pretty crazy how it all came together.
Well, there's your next movie, a stripper who found out that a filmmaker had stole her wad of cash and made a movie.
That's exactly what happened too. Yeah,
make a revenge film. At the end, you get murdered.
It's funny. She came back the next day looking for it too. But then, but the way I handled it though was because my boss there was kind of an asshole, and he always told me, if you ever find anything, I get half. So I told him I stuffed. So it was like $1,200. I stuffed $1,100 in my underwear, and I told him I found 100. And then so he split it with me, like so, $50 and $50. He didn't know about the rest of it. And the stripper came back the next morning looking for her money, and he's like, "Oh, we found was 100." Then he called me up and said, "Hey, man, we got to get that $50 back." I'm like, "No problem." And she's like, "Where's the rest of it?" I was like, "I don't know, I didn't see."
Dude, Drew, I love how honest you are, because you easily could have framed yourself in the perfect light in this story, but you just went fucking full throttle, gave us the whole thing. Dude, I love it. You reminded me of my dad, who he's been in the tow truck industry his whole life.
Oh, nice.
There was a wreck where some people didn't make it, and the police were there because apparently they had a warrant too. So they were pulling bodies.
A warrant was out on them?
On the people in the wreck.
Oh.
Ooh.
So they pulled them out. I think it was DOA at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And when in those kind of situations, it's usually the tow truck driver and like whatever morgue is showing up, like dealing with it.
Yeah.
So everybody bailed really quick. And I guess the cops didn't search the car well enough, because my dad found a shoebox of cash in it.
Nice.
And I just remember, because I came home and I saw it on his nightstand. Like, I was very young. I was like, "Whoa, we're rich." And he was like, "No, you don't get any of that." And I threw he gave me a $50 bill. And I remember I learned about fiscal responsibility, because I spent that $50 bill on a creepy crawler oven.
Nice. I used to have one of those too.
Dude, it's a fucking waste of money.
Thinking about it, yeah, I used to burn myself on that thing all the time.
Yeah, it was injury prone. The
Totally.
toys it produced were garbage.
Oh, yeah.
We just found them under couches for years.
I
after
haven't
that.
thought about a creepy crawler oven in almost 30 years.
They didn't call it that, right? It wasn't called an oven.
No, but I know what you're talking about.
It probably had like a creepy
I never
name.
had one.
It's a bug maker.
Okay, the creepy crawly bug maker.
And you couldn't eat them, right? You're not supposed to eat them.
They were marketing the Easy Bake Oven at the same time.
I didn't
know.
eat anything on that Easy Bake Oven
You know what's
bullshit.
fucked up? I remember McDonald's had like a Play-Doh set where you can make like Play-Doh food.
Yeah.
And my dumbass, I'm like 5 years old, and I make like Play-Doh, like, chicken nuggets, and I'm like, I guess it's a chicken nugget now, and I started eating it, and I was like, this tastes like fucking garbage.
and then your mom sued him, and now you were rich for years because you had millions.
I wish.
So, Drew, back to your documentary.
Hmm?
So you learn editing, and you teach yourself how to film. Like, how much of that did you shoot, or were you in an era where like people could send you a Zoom video?
Yeah, I shot most of it, but a Bang Tango fan reached out to me. It turned out he was like a videographer, and he shot a lot of all the good-looking interviews, like Ricky Rackman and Howard Benson, all the ones that looked like somebody went to film school and shot something in that movie. It was done by him, and all the stuff that was really noisy and staticky and fucked up looking, that was all me. But but it did a lot of traveling for that too, and the editing. I remember. Right when I started shooting, because at first it was supposed to be like a studio documentary, I ended up with a ton of footage of that. And then I got in touch with all the original members of the band, and the story started coming out. And I was like, holy shit, we should make it about this. And then so it kind of grew from there. And the Bang Tango at that time, it was just down to Joe, the singer. He's the only original guy. And then they were coming out with that new album at the time, which I played on a couple tunes. And they asked me to because they had all this footage to do a couple music videos, and so the first thing I ever edited was those Bang Tango music videos, and then that caught the attention of their booking agent, and he had me start doing promo videos for like Vince Neil and Queensryche and Kix and all those bands and everything. So that's how I got started with the editing stuff, and he got a kick out of what I was able to do, and he was like, hey man, you want to do this, and I was like, all right, whatever, and so then I ended up for the Bang Tango. We ended up with over 400 hours of footage, and I was the only guy editing it. And I legitimately had like a mental breakdown while making the thing. At one point, I was like, I ain't gonna finish this fucking thing. Who's gonna watch it? And but I somehow got it done, and people seemed to get a kick out of it. So but it's funny because after that I was done with that, I was like, I'm never doing this again. And then then Dwellers happened.
Now, how you still in contact with Vince Neil?
Oh no! I never met him. From my understanding, he's not very affable. Not as affable as yours.
No way.
No. I can't believe it.
Dude,
I know.
That guy, he's having like a rebirth of his career, though.
And
Maybe
he's about to give
not
birth
the
too.
best light, but I'll tell you though, like if I'm ever in like a sour mood, I will pull up videos of Vince Neil singing, where they have reinterpreted the lyrics.
How about got nuts? Yabba dabba doo.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the best thing. And
Oh, it's great.
the cameo video, did you see that?
Oh, he says happy you have to shout at devil. Kickstart your
good.
birthday.
Now, Drew, you shot over 400 hours for that documentary.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think so. Clearly we run the Unnamed Footage Festival, so we talk to a lot of found footage filmmakers, or even like mockumentary filmmakers. Like documentary seems to just yield a lot of footage because you never know what you're going to use.
Right.
So we've talked to a lot of people who they're like, I don't know if you'll believe it. We had 50 hours of footage. Then we had one at 80. Then I think we had the Triangle. Those dudes didn't know what their movie was going to be when they were making it. I think they had over 200. So you doubled that, dude.
Yeah, you never know what kind of movie you got until you start editing it, because you can have that idea like up front, and even especially a documentary, because you don't know what the story is going to be until you do the interviews. Until it's all about the questions you ask too, and then and how each interviewee reacts to the question. Then it creates conflict and all that, and there's so much to work with just to find like a through line. Being like, what is the story? What are we trying to say? And it's and sometimes, me personally, I prefer to work with less. Like if I only had like 10, 12 hours of footage, I would have had so much more fun doing it, because it's like, okay, how do we whittle this down to
to something. So I applaud the people that could shoot less and make something out of it, because it's like working with a box of crayons, there's like 64 crayons in there, and you just, remove them all until you're down to like 8, and you're like, okay, make art. And I was like, all right, it's kind of like that. So I almost prefer it that way, instead of having sometimes too many options is just too much. But yeah, it was the more it was tough for sure. And
So if you've got 400 hours of footage and you've never edited anything in your life, how long did it take before you got into like a groove with it, where you was like, okay, I've got a narrative here, and I've got a nice little rift here?
It all started with like, probably like the first like couple minutes. It's just like, how's this thing gonna start? What's the first thing you see in this thing? And then just kind of take it from there. And so the first thing was a Dee Snider narration, and it set the tone perfectly, because it wasn't serious. It's just kind of like what does he say? It's like Bang Tango was at the forefront of a genre that never began, or something like that. And he's like, Bang Tango, they're just like a Guns N' Roses ripoff. Come on. They still can't be successful? Okay, rooting for them. So that's kind of like the idea of the intro. And I was like, okay, now I know what to work with. And then I just started watching it as if I was watching a documentary. And I was like, what would feel right next? It's like, okay, how about like a montage of interviews? That's how most documentaries start off, right? And then so I started picking and pulling, and there's this bunch of people kind of like peripheral to the band talking about the band, and just kind of talking them up and all that. It's like, hey, Bang Tango was this, Bang Tango was that. And then I was like, okay, well, then where should we go from there? Thinking about movies and documentaries, let's start at the beginning. And then so it just kind of all kind of started almost editing it itself, and I just kind of had to find the footage, like the right stuff, people saying the right things, the right people saying the right things to put at the right spots, which is editing. but yeah, so it just kind of the same thing with like writing books. It's like just,
Well, how many books have you written now?
Oh, I think like 2 or 3.
Are you joking? I can't tell.
No, I'm serious. I did like
What the fuck?
Yeah. I did a memoir, like kind of like as a joke, and it's all about making the Bang Tango movie too. It's called Dark, Depressing, and Hilarious. And is that
You wrote a book for a bit?
I know.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That's commitment right there.
How many pages?
It's like 200 pages.
God damn, dude! What the hell?
It's a long bit.
Oh yeah. It's more comedy based too. It's just kind of like everything that happened in that time, me joining the band and all that. But it's just really very very self-deprecating, and it's pretty funny. And then
and that's one of 3 books you've written.
Yeah. And then the other one, it was Rockstar Hitman I wrote with Ellefson. That's a fictional book about this
Yes.
kid who gets brought out to LA, and in exchange for like fortune and fame, he has to do a bunch of hits for this agency. And they route the tour around where they need to take out these people and all that. It's gory and funny. It's like, so there's that. And then the third one, I think it's a sequel to that, and I'm not sure if we're going to put that out or not. I think because right now, Dave and I, we got this new band called the Lucid with the singer of Sponge and the drummer from Fear Factory and Ian Ellison, and it's a whole bunch of random shit. And oddly enough, the Lucid, there's a couple songs that tied into that Rockstar Hitman book, but we're going off on all kinds of tangents here. But but everything is kind of tied together.
It's good. Like traditional interviews are something we've never wanted to do, and we wanted to lean into the podcast thing. So there's an interesting tangent. I mean, there is one thing I want to ask you. You did briefly mention that you started working or started playing with Bang Tango. Had you played guitar? I'm assuming you played guitar.
Guitar, yeah.
Did you play that before? Or did you learn that on the spot?
Yeah, I did play guitar before. Yeah, that would be a lot cooler if I like never play guitar and like, hey, you want to play guitar? Sure, I don't know how to do that, but I'll learn really quick.
Well, that would fall in line with everything else.
Yeah,
I know, right?
You only did that with cinematography, directing, editing, producing. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
well, I mean,
it'd be funny. It's like, hey, we'll play guitar. It's like, I don't know how to do that. Next day, I'm cleaning the bathroom and find a wad of stripper money again. Buy a guitar.
What kind of guitar do you play?
I play a Epiphone Les Paul. I play it's cheap.
Okay, so
I dig it.
now it's starting to look clear to me. Somebody comes up to you, hey man, you know where to find weed? No. Oh, but you play guitar. It's like there's the in, and I could see like when you're playing in a band, the like mind thing is so ripe. And if you get along with people, that's really most of the battle.
Totally.
So it's like, oh shit. And if you can actually play, like how long before you were talking about playing with them? I'm sure it came up fairly quickly.
It was 4 years, 4 years after, because like they knew I played. Actually, the first night I met them, they brought me up and had me play a song with them. We did
Okay.
because we did a Zeppelin song, "Bring It On Home," and Joe the singer was. I was in a Zeppelin tribute band for a little bit, and Joe the singer was just like, hey, that night he was like, hey, I heard you're in a Zeppelin tribute band. We should do a Zeppelin tune. I'm like, all right, whatever. And he's like, what song? He's like, well, Bring It On Home. I was like, sure. And then so they brought me up, and the rest of the band are like, huh. And then me and Joe start the song, and it's just guitar and vocals. It's like really bluesy, and all that. And he's doing the harmonica the sound with his mouth. And then when it goes to kick in, the band are like deer in the headlights. Joe, the singer, forgot to tell the rest of the band what we were doing. So they had no idea what we were doing. And then so I awkwardly skate up there for like a couple minutes, and then I'm like, Joe, I don't know what I'm doing up here. And he's like, don't worry, man, we'll share the stage again someday. I'm like, cool. And then 4 years later, that's when I ended up joining Bang Tango.
All right. So it's not luck. It's what is the other saying? It's preparation meets opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Oh yeah, totally. And then I got to know the original guys in Bang Tango. Like the original guitar player was like the main songwriter, and he ended up teaching me a bunch of those Bang Tango tunes, and then just for kicks. And then when they asked me to join, I was like, hey, actually, all right, cool. I can figure that out. And then when I joined the other guitar player, because there were 2 guitar player band, and they were like down to 1 guitar for like years. They couldn't afford another guy. And the other guitar player they had when I joined was Rowan Robertson, and he was Dio's guitar player. Right. And Rowan is one of the most wonderful humans in the whole entire world, and I had such a blast with that guy, man. Rowan is amazing. And so that was a good time with him for sure. And here's a story. So it kind of goes along with the Bang Tango movie. So we finished the movie, then I screened it in Chicago, the one and only screening. And I did it to where the band was on tour, and they were going to be in Chicago for the screening, like on tours, so that they could be there and watch it. And Joe Lestay, the singer, he is the only one in the band who has not seen it. Everybody else has seen it already. So we're at this a bar I worked at the time and lived at the time too, believe it or not. And they have that's another story.
I know, you snuck that one in there.
Oh yeah. And there's a projector in the back of the bar, and so there's a ton of people back there watching it. And I'm sitting kind of close to Joe, and like a lot of the movies is brutally honest, like about Joe the singer and like how he is as a human being and all that. And Joe's on screen talking shit about one of the other members of the band. And as Joe's watching it, he stands up, points at the screen, and goes, "Hey, I didn't say that," as he's saying it on screen. It was hysterical. And and then toward the end of it, Joe, the singer of Bang Tango, it starts to get heated in the movie. Then he stands up, looks at me, goes, "What are you, some kind of fucking asshole or something?" And just takes off. Then I start chasing after him like he's like my fucking girlfriend or something. And then I catch him by the exit, and I was like, "Dude, you gotta finish it, man. It'll make sense." And he turns around and he's like, "Oh, gotcha." I was like, "Man, you're such a dick." And then he came back and finished it. Then afterwards, he was like, "Man, the truth always hurts, and I really, really, really needed to see that." And so that was nice to hear that from him. He got to kind of see his life from like a different point of view. But then shortly thereafter, he publicly hates the movie, but whatever. But anyway, so we do that. Then the day after the screening, there was their Chicago show, and they asked me to play the whole set with them. And it's like, "Hey, thanks for doing this movie and all that." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I knew the tunes already, so I got up and played with them. It was a lot of fun. And I was like, "All right, that's the end of this chapter. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome." Then 2 days later, I got a call from Joe, the singer, and he goes, "Hey, man, how would you feel about playing in front of 20,000 people tomorrow at the M3 Festival?" And I was like, "I'm renting a car right now. I'm on my way." And then so I drove 10 hours from Chicago to Baltimore, Maryland, to play the M3 Festival with Bang Tango. And sure enough, 20,000 people. It was fucking nuts. Who else played? It was like Queensryche and shit. And then from there, they just kept on having me show up, and we played all kinds of places, all kinds of festivals. And then
Drew, you're a cool dude, man.
Nah.
If I got that call and they're like, "Hey, how about tomorrow you do the thing you've been saying you wanted to do forever?" I feel like I would have a pit grow in my stomach, and anxiety would just come over me. And
That was there
taught
too.
myself, dude. I've taught myself now to just be like, you have to say yeah, otherwise,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
But like,
man.
in my head, it's screaming like, "Don't do this."
No, yeah.
I feel like you didn't have that. You're just like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, I've been ready for this my whole life." I just never.
Yeah, it was definitely a whirlwind for sure, because it was like a Friday. I was at work, and then I was like, "Hey guys, I gotta go head to fucking Maryland." And they're like, "All right." And so yeah, I just rented a car and whoop, and oh man, it was one hell of a drive. And yeah, and then it was definitely a lot of anxiety too. I didn't know what to expect, but it was fun. I got the whole show like pro shot somewhere too, and that's not out there. And so it's kind of cool to revisit that every once in a while. I'll be like, "Oh, look at my stupid haircut." And but then a year after that is when we played the main stage of Rocklahoma, and because it was Rocklahoma's 10th anniversary, and when Rocklahoma started, it was all hair bands. And so for the 10th anniversary, they wanted to bring back some of the bands who played the first one. Bang Tango was one of them. So we opened up the main stage, and it was us, 6 a.m., Nikki Sixx's band, Megadeth, Disturbed, and Rob Zombie. And so we had like no business being there.
Hold on.
But, yeah.
Disturbed and Rob Zombie were the top bill?
Yeah.
It's like, let's bring back all the glam and hair rock, and then those two?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it was crazy, and it was funny too, because so we're backstage. We have our trailers like next to Disturbed's trailer, and they're from Chicago, so we're all knew the same guys, like Chip Zinoff and all that, and then Rob Zombie came and walked up to Joe, the singer of Bang Tango. He's like, "Man, I used to just specifically fly out to see Bang Tango in Vegas all the time." I was like, "Shut the fuck up, no way." And then it turns out Sherry Zombie used to date Bang Tango's original drummer back in the day. And
What the hell?
And then one night she never came back home. That was the night she met Rob Zombie.
Oh shit! And then yada yada yada.
And he promised to put her in every movie he ever is going to make.
Exactly.
I'll make you a star,
Which,
sweetheart.
by coincidence, now Drew's shooting all of.
Right? Yeah. I am Rob Zombie now, and then that's where I met David Ellefson, was at Rocklahoma. We kind of crossed paths backstage, and we had some mutual friends and all that. And it turns out he's like the older version of me, like personality wise. It's like we're like, hey, if we touch each other, it might turn out like Timecop, because I think we'll just explode in the lava or something like that, because we're like the same people. But so we hit it off great, and that's how that whole thing started with me and Dave. Was from that Rocklahoma. We kind of kept in touch, and then just kind of it became buddies, and and then eventually we started doing stuff together, and then eventually I left Bang Tango. Then I started playing guitar for Chuck Mosley from Faith No More, which San Francisco. So
yeah,
I know he's more of an LA guy, but I know Faith No More is from San Francisco, and played with Chuck up until he passed away. And I love Chuck very much. That was a great time, and I got lots. I could go off on tangents. I got lots of Chuck stories too.
You're close to a couple of heavy hitters, and or at least big fans of horror. Because I mean, you were with Rob Zombie, but Mike Patton. I remember when we came out and watched Goblin play for the first time they ever did an American tour. Mike Patton was there. I think he rented out a balcony at the
I believe it too, because I could picture Mike Patton being so into Goblin.
Yeah,
because that's like right up his alley. The Italian film score stuff. That's like that's his jam.
Well, what's not his jam? Again,
yeah, no, right? Yeah,
it's everything.
It's like it's an album, somebody tapping on a counter. He's like, I fucking love that.
Dude, see, Drew, now here's why I think you're cool. You're in there hobnobbing with all these old timers, right? And it's like they're fucking like legends. I just imagine you not giving a shit and just being so casual and like chill. Like what did you and David start talking about originally?
It was I came up. It was like he was managing a band called Dollskin, and I was talking to one of his managers about helping getting Matt Wallace, Faith No More's producer, to mix one of their tunes. And I was like, "Oh, hey, Dave, I was your band Dollskin. I'm the guy that's trying to help you guys get Matt Wallace." He's like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome." So I think that's how that conversation started. Then from there, we just started talking about the weather or something.
You're like, hey, Dave, have you ever seen the Blair Witch? Want to do a
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
like that?
yeah. That'd be a random first question. It's like, hey, Megadeth guy, come here for a second. Let me ask you a question.
So, Drew, how the hell did this all pivot into making a horror movie with them?
You know, so I did some work for Dave's label for a little bit too, helping him out with stuff for like a couple of years. And then and then I started acting. I was in randomly out of the blue. And I was
I believe it now. You can tell me anything. I started flying planes. I'm like, yeah, of course you did.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Secretary of the
Actually,
Navy
I
for a
did fly a
while.
plane once. And so what was it? So 2017. Okay, so I was always a big fan of this guy named James L. Edwards. He did a lot of movies for Tempe and stuff like that, shot on video stuff. There's one movie called Bloodletting that's fucking amazing. I recommend it. I've always been a fan of this guy, James L. Edwards, actor and writer. And so I found him on Facebook. I was like, I wonder what this fucking guy's up to. And then so then I looked, and then it said it was having auditions for this new movie called Her Name is Christa. And I was like, all right. I started talking to him. Turns out he was a Bang Tango fan from back in the day. I was like, no shit. And I showed him the movie. It was before the movie. I released the movie, and then he really liked it. And then I was like, hey, maybe I'll audition for one of these thingies. And he's like, yeah, sure. Which character? I was like, yeah, how about that one? And so I sent him a couple auditions, and he was like, and then this is crazy too. So and then it's when I was playing with Chuck Mosley, and James is in Ohio. He lives in Ohio, and so I had to go to Chuck's house for rehearsals. So I go to Chuck's house. I'm there, and then I told James to meet me up there too because he's in Ohio, and it'd be cool to meet him in person during the audition process and whatnot. And Doug Esper, who was Chuck Mosley's a manager and percussionist / babysitter, Doug's in Dwellers as well. And so the three primaries of Dwellers met for the first time at Chuck Mosley's house. So it was during a Chuck rehearsal. So it's me, Chuck, and Doug. Doug's on conga and all that, and James shows up and let me know I got the part in the movie. And so that's where Dwellers was kind of born, as far as me, James, and Doug was at Chuck Mosley's house. And so that I was thinking about that now. That was actually pretty cool. And all thanks to Chuck. And
Dude, so just to be completely honest with you, I was wondering how asking you about the pivot would go, because clearly you seem like a metal dude through and through. And normally people turn to horror because it's an easy way to make money doing film. And there's such a low entry bar. Like if you ever look on Amazon Prime, clearly you get it because you just mentioned the movie Bloodletting, which I've never heard of. Which, dude, late 90s, like shot on video.
That's it right there. Yeah.
Dude, but I mean, I was just looking through it on IMDb. Dude, this looks rad.
It's fucking awesome, dude. The story is great. James is awesome in it. And it's pretty much about this girl who finds the identity of the serial killer and blackmails him into teaching her how to be a serial killer. It's great. It's so cool.
Now, so are you a big like shot on video fan?
Whatever came on my radar when I was younger. Like I don't seek it out as much, but if it comes across me, it's like, hey, check this out. I'll check it out. But I don't really nowadays. I don't really dive into it as much. There's so much now, you know. But if there's something from the '90s, 100%, I'll check it out.
You got to get Bleeding Skull, their new book. They're on volume 2. It's all about 90s shot on video.
Nice.
Yeah. And they got like a lot of deep cuts in there. Like one of the, like I'm reading the book, like basically it's a coffee table book or like a reference material.
Does it turn into a coffee table?
Yeah, right. That was a great, Seinfeld?
Seinfeld, yeah.
Okay, are you a Seinfeld guy over Friends or?
Absolutely. I love Seinfeld.
Can I tell you, so I'm a big college football fan and I support where I went to school. And football coaches are always stuck just watching tape, right? And someone actually asked the coach in a call-in show what his favorite TV show is.
Yeah.
And just to give you a little background on this guy, very strong country voice, just a classic Mississippi football guy. Like you would think that's all he knows. He's like, well, Actually, me and my wife, I like to end my day on something happy every day. So we watched every episode of Friends at least 100 times. So Friends is his favorite show.
Boo.
And now he went down a notch in my book.
Go ahead, Oksana. You want to jump in here?
No.
Her family.
My mom used to hate when we watched Friends because they have so much like sex jokes. But then she got addicted to it. Now she has like a board game. She's never
Addicted to
played.
sex?
I would have felt uncomfortable going for that, but I wanted
Addicted to sex with friends?
I mean, enemies would be a little awkward. But yeah, dude,
I'd watch
so
that show.
You got to get Bleeding Skull.
Bleeding
look
Skull.
that
I
up.
would
It's
check
the
that
new
out.
one.
I think I heard of it. James might be in that because he was in all those things. Like he
Oh, dude, if I don't remember Bloodletting being in there, but I don't know why it wouldn't make the criteria.
he was
I'm
in
gonna write
like
him
Dead
in.
Next Door in the 80s.
Okay, I think
he
that
helped
is-
out with
yeah.
that. Skinned Alive, Polymorph.
So, well, where did what were you saying?
I was just saying Skinned Alive is in the photo.
It is in the
clip
book.
promo.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So what's your horror background like? Have you been a
Ooh.
fan forever, or
Yeah, forever.
did you
for
pick that up
sure.
too?
What's that? Oh yeah,
Pick
right.
that up too for a project?
Oh yeah, I've always been a huge horror nerd. Like pretty much anything released up until maybe about 10 years ago for sure. And I've just been so out of touch the last like decade. But all the 70s and 80s and 90s stuff, that's my shit though. I love that. You know, just everything from obviously, C.H.U.D to, you name it. There's so many in my brain right now.
So did you watch Us?
I did watch Uts. I did. I personally, I didn't. I was like, what are we doing here? That's just me personally. Yeah.
It's interesting. A lot of the people who are like old school 80 fans who like love Chud,
Mhm.
it doesn't play well with them.
No.
Like almost every fan I have, or everybody I have who's like one of the old school horror guys that doesn't watch any James Wan film but loves like digging through, I don't know, estate sales.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, dude,
VHS
it
copy of
doesn't work for them.
Carnosaur and shit. Yeah.
You didn't like Tim Heidecker in that movie?
Which one was that?
In Us.
Yeah, Us. He's the white friend.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I remember he was. I
He was
remember him being like the comedic relief guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, how do you not know Tim Heidecker? I thought you're a comedy dude. He's Tim
Oh,
and Eric.
Oh, is that who that is?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, anything last 10 years, man. I'm out of touch the last
That's
10
fair.
years.
Well, I mean,
And,
you've been learning every craft, working on every project.
Cut us some
See,
slack.
I had no idea that was Tim from Tim and Eric. That's it. Oh wow. But
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah. But the way it was like, that movie was kind of promoted as like if you heavily rooted in Chud, because I guess Jordan Peele, when he was a kid, his girlfriend was the daughter of the guy that directed Chud, Douglas Cheek, and so he was on the Chud set and all that, and so that's a big part of his like youth. It was Chud because he dated the director's daughter while the movie was being shot, and don't ask how I know that, but
You're
yeah,
like
that's
2 degrees away from Jordan Peele now, too.
yeah, right, yeah, and so I read that and it was like some article about it or something. But with that in my head, I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna watch Us because it's like like a Chud thing. And then you know what, Us might have been the reason why I fucking made Dwellers. Like this is how you do it. But
Take that, Jordan Peele.
Fuck yeah.
and thinking about it now, that could have been it because I watched it. I was really disappointed. I was like, that was nothing like Chud. And the people came from underground. But I saw the
Okay,
Chud
now-
VHS at the beginning, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah, he kind of wore all his influences in that first shot.
Yeah, totally.
But now, how does David Ellefson get involved in a found footage answer to Us?
well, truthfully, Dave, he's into coffee. He has so much. He had the label and all that, and he's just broadening his kind of enterprises, if you will.
Yeah.
And then so I guess I must have watched Us, and I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna do something for zero money and make it more Chud-ish. And but then I was talking to him. He's like, hey, I'm gonna do this like found footage movie for like no dollars. There's no risk or commitment. What do you think we do like Ellison Films or something like that? It could be like Acme, like a made up company, And he's like, dude, that's fucking great. Let's do it. And I was like, then you could play yourself in it, and then you could be the producer in the movie as well, And so he was all for it. So it's kind of like Ellison Films. It kind of, I guess, in a way, exists in the real world a little bit, but it's mostly it was made up for the movie. And it was kind of funny how people started coming to us to try and put out their movies, and it's like, oh, we don't really do that. We kind of like made up like Acme because there's no money behind it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And with Dwellers, that was an idea I had. I was talking to the guy who wrote C.H.U.D years ago, or like close to a decade ago, and I was talking to him. I was like, hey, how come nobody's ever like remade C.H.U.D or nothing like that? What's going on? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, hey, well, it's the guy that wrote it. Let's just do like a found footage thing for $0. It could be a lot of fun. It'd be straight from the heart, And he was like, yeah, write up a treatment. And then I found out Shep Abbott was his name. And I found out he only owned the musical rights to C.H.U.D, which shows you what kind of deals they were making for movies back in the 80s. And then it turns out he started writing a musical of C.H.U.D with Daniel Stern. And so I guess that's still in the makings or something like that. And so I had this idea for like a modern day found footage, like reboot of C.H.U.D. And it was just kind of sitting there forever. And then I was like, okay, I can't call it C.H.U.D, Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground. Fuck it, let's call it Dwellers. And and then so that's how, and that's how that kind of came about.
I'm an idiot. I never made that connection.
Good.
It's
Hopefully
right-
nobody else does, so I don't get sued.
Yo, well, okay, so you came to found footage just on the premise of no budget.
Yeah, no budget. I didn't have. Yeah, there's no money. I mean,
now, are you a fan of the genre at all?
yeah. I like the real stuff. That's another thing too. I started watching these. I saw trailers for these newer found footage movies, and you could tell off the bat the way they were shot and the CGI. It's like, this movie had a fucking $1 million budget at least. It's like, what's wrong with these people? That's not found footage.
So the culture's kind of shifted. I think, when the Blair Witch first came out, it was all about like tricking the audience into believing it's real.
Right.
Except when you look through history, even back to like War of the Worlds, that never plays over well.
Yeah.
And when people are authentically tricked, they get fucking angry.
Totally. And it's so dated too, because even like Cannibal Holocaust, because they brought him to court because they actually thought that they murdered the people on screen and all that, but they had to
they murdered the animals for real. And
they couldn't bring those things to court. They were perished.
But Charlie Sheen did see one of the guinea pig movies, and he thought that was real.
Oh,
and he went to the
wow.
FBI.
Did he? I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
he thought mermaids were real.
Yeah, mermaid and a man.
Yeah.
No, so the culture shifted, and now I think people understand when you go into a found footage movie, you've got to bring a little bit of your own disbelief there, and you're kind of entering an alternate reality. And I think that's why our film fest has worked, is because once an audience member becomes aware that they're down for this, it really opens up a whole world. So I know you don't watch a lot of movies. I should shoot you over some that we think are exemplary, and
I'd love to check it out.
Good modern ones. How was the experience shooting the film?
It was fun, man. We did it over 5 non-consecutive days in the summer of 2019, and that tunnel, we're only down there for like a day, and then I went back for like another day just to kind of get like extra stuff. And anytime you don't see James or Doug on screen in the tunnel, it's an overdub. And so it was a lot of fun to shoot. It was it really surprised it came together the way it did. And there's no point in doing a script for something like that, because I had a script, but it ended up being like 90% different from what it ended up becoming and all that. And I just recently went through like a nightmare scenario too with getting it ready for the Blu-ray, because when I originally shot it, because the tunnel itself, it was just a straight tunnel. There's no turns or nothing. It's just a half-mile long, one end to the other. And a lot of those shots was during the day, and you could see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And I was like, okay, I'll mask over that when I edit it, no problem. And so I did that, and I used the color black to mask over the light at the end of the tunnel frame by frame. I was like, okay, cool, it looks fine.
That sounds fun. How long did that take?
Fucking forever. And and then I get the Blu-ray proof in probably about a month ago. And I pop it on. I was like, I'm sure it's fine. And I flip through it. And then it brightens it up a little bit. And so when we got to the tunnel shots, you see a bunch of dancing black blobs in the background where the light was. And I about had a fucking stroke. And then so so up until about a week ago, I had to get in there frame by frame and mask it, but use copy and paste parts of the existing background over the light so it's seamless.
Yeah.
So I had to go through all that all over again. But I did find some other issues in there too. I was happy to find and resolve. But so in a way, I'm glad that happened.
Now,
And,
when you said dancing blobs in the background, in my head, I imagined your sequel where, you're editing the movie and you realize there's actually something back there. So you're like, well, I got to go back and film it now.
that's a great idea.
And then you're like, oh, I masked over it. In my head, I was like, I imagined you alone in your room at night, terrified, like, holy shit.
Holy shit, that's a great idea. Like I'm going through the footage and all that, like
Yeah.
editing Dwellers, and then I was like, what is that? And I zoom in more, and you actually see, like, I was like, that's not
Now,
supposed to
dude,
be
Drew,
there.
actually, I think you would dig our buddy's movies. Ricky Umberger. He's made a trilogy. Now, this dude, he's a shot on video, like he's a true. One day he picks up a camera and just makes a fucking movie.
That's the
and
way
he
to do
made
it.
He made it called The Fear Footage.
Nice.
Now, he marketed it on his own. It's all people he knows in his real life, and it's just an anthology, all found footage horror. That dude, it struck a nerve online, and people are into it.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, you got to look him up. It's The Fear Footage. He's made
Footage.
3 of them. I think you dig his work.
Yeah.
Because he's got no money. There's no money in that movie. And
He shot and edited it all on his iPad.
Wow.
yeah. And like, I remember we went out and showed it at a film fest. And when the film hits the screen, people are always taken aback at how like amateur it looks. Like it's all diegetic lighting and stuff. And
Yeah.
we had these 2 fucking winos in the front row who just instantly were heckling. The thing is,
One was wearing a top hat.
yeah,
by
one
the
was
way.
wearing a top hat.
Of course he is.
Now, here's the thing. The movie's got scares in it, and they weren't fucking ready for it. So when that
Oh.
movie starts hitting, they're like in the middle of doing their like one-liner setup, and they were jumping. And
Nice.
you can't fucking deny that this movie works.
The movie won.
Yeah, and dude, you got to check it out. Fear Footage.
I just looked it up right now. Is it called The Fear Footage?
Yep.
Okay, got it.
And there's 3 of them. And what came to me was just the premise. Like, one of the fun things about found footage is because you're playing in like an alternate reality, you could make a movie. You could make a screen life movie where it's just you filming stuff on Snapchat, and it's just Drew. And the whole premise is, hey, I'm the guy that made Dwellers, but weird shit's happening to me. Something followed me out of the tunnel. And I'm telling you, man, the found footage community, they're there for the ideas.
That's awesome. That's good to know. I might do something like that.
Yeah, this is me trying to tie you down into the genre.
Yeah, man. Because after this movie, I was like, I ain't doing that again. But now I'm like,
know
maybe I will.
Dude, you make a documentary with 400 plus hours of actually, how much footage did you have for Dwellers?
Dwellers, I think maybe
200.
the 200. Actually, way less. Probably like 10 or 12.
I don't know if that's good, but it's definitely not bad compared to 400.
Well, it's,
Yeah, right. Yeah, like I
apples
made
and
sure to
oranges.
shoot as little as humanly possible, and but yeah, I know it wasn't that much because I remember I had most of it like just kind of like in like an assembly thing, and it was only like that was like 3 or 4 hours, and so just thinking about everybody else is probably like 10 or 12. I'm thinking like all together because it was only like I think there was only like 5 days shooting, and there was a whole completely different third act that got shot too. That I trashed, and the guy doing the interrogation, the one who isn't Doug, Omar, he played a different character in the original third act. Like we stumbled upon like a ton of bodies down there, and then a guy and a guy in a hazmat suit shows up and kind of takes us hostage, and then that was the original third act, and then that's kind of how he kills all of us and makes off with the camera, and so that was the original ending of Dwellers. But then that was before we had the interrogation stuff, and then so I trashed that third act, and then I was like, what it'd be cool to find something to kind of break up the footage a little bit. So I got a hold of, and I felt kind of bad because Omar was now out of the movie, and he's awesome, and so I got a hold of him and got a hold of Doug, and I was like, hey, what do you think about doing like an interrogation thing? It's like probably like a day shoot or something like that. So James Edwards actually directed that part for me. All the interrogation
rad.
stuff. And so I didn't have to go out there. It was in Ohio. I didn't have to drive out there, and he did it for me because I'm a lazy fuck.
Yeah, right. Don't buy that for a fucking minute. No, hold on. Now, with the alternate ending, what was the motivation behind junking that original one?
Because we shot it so quick in a day, we were supposed to be tired during those scenes for that original third act, but we were too tired. like we were just like, oh motherfucker. And I was like, this isn't gonna translate well, you know. It's like I always kind of based it upon like how it affects me. I was like, oh, this is cool, but then I see it and I was like, oh man, we look too much like shit. We're too tired. And it was cool though because we stumbled across the guy that mugs us again, and he's all dead and ripped up, and we get our shit back, like our wallets and all that. And then see what else happens, and
Now
yeah,
I bring it up because, you know, again, earlier I mentioned I like looking at like film theory and thinking about what the story is telling, and it's interesting when you make a decision like that because I knew you weren't thinking about it, but you kind of navigated out of the government was behind the whole thing.
totally,
It's
totally.
like hazmat suit. There's a bunch of bodies down here. The bums are disappearing because the government's just fucking killing them.
Yeah, it was too much chud. I mean, it's like, but yeah, exactly. And then it kind of, like you were saying, kind of comes off a little bit, almost kind of preachy that
Well,
way.
I don't
you
know. Because you know the intent wasn't there. It was just kind of like, oh, you know, it'd be cool to have a hazmat suit and a bunch of bodies, which I'm
Yeah.
down for.
Right,
But
right,
at the end of the day, the message is just, you know, the government is making these people. They're fixing the problem in a way that you know will never see the light of day.
Exactly, and that
But
was
then you
that.
shift,
Yeah,
and
that
it's
was
like you made the FBI kind of the heroes.
right. Yeah. I never even thought about it like that. But yeah.
I knew you
totally.
didn't. That's why I'm like, it's part of the filmmaking aspect where it's, you know, you're on set and you're just trying to get it done and make it good. I love it when it leaves holes like that because that's part of my favorite thing of doing this show is just talking to people like, oh, look, now you're preachy and pro government, which is not thrash metal or metal at all, dude.
Right. No, yeah, totally, man. Totally. Holy shit. Like all that. It's like I feel like it's like you're my new therapist. I was like, why did I make these decisions? Well, you're anti-thrash and pro-government now. I was like, I
Yeah,
am.
right. You sold
but-
out, dude.
Yeah, I've been
Worse than
told, dude,
cutting
I'm
your
a
hair.
total sellout. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. That's awesome, though. I never even thought about it that way. That's crazy. And I trimmed up a lot of stuff too, like some stuff ties into that detective we talked to that kind of covers everything up, and then there's a whole like protocol in relation to him to wipe out the homeless. Like it got almost like too much. Like there's too much of a concept.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like almost kind of hard to follow. Like it was cool that it was there, but it was just like, you know, it's just way too much to take in, like for a found footage movie, you know.
For sure.
Mm.
Now, what do you got on the horizon?
Oh man, jeez.
I know. I was worried to ask the damn question.
Yeah. Well,
All right, we'll start with books, then we'll move into band projects.
no, yeah. As far as books, I might do another. Might do another memoir now because all the crazy shit started happening after I wrote the first one, and it's kind of this detail, like because the first one was all about making the Bang Tango movie, and this one could be just the whole Dwellers process, which was.
Drew, how old are you?
I'm actually a year younger than Clark.
And you have 2 memoirs? Clark, you're fucking up, dude. I feel like you've lived so much more than everybody in the room I'm in combined.
Oh man. Oh.
Yeah, but I've seen every type of porn possible.
Hey, how many of those have you filmed, Drew?
Ask Clark.
Okay, so are you gonna do another horror movie?
Maybe. I mean, I'm
What
waiting.
the
I'm
fuck?
gonna see how Dwellers does. I mean,
How is it doing?
it's not too good.
Well, I
But-
mean, you're in a niche genre, and
Yeah.
we've been doing, you know, the Found Footage Film Fest for like 4 years, if you count last year, which was only online. And we're only starting to get like good penetration in the community. It's so
Good choice of
fractured out
words.
there. Yeah, so I know the penetration. I keep going there.
yes.
We're all
No,
talking about
Keep
shooting
going.
porn.
Keep going there. Over and
I know.
over and over and over.
So, man, I got to convince you to keep doing it. I mean,
I
what,
appreciate that.
what does David think about it? Does he want to do another film?
Well, you have to be honest with you. We right after this started winning a bunch of awards and all that, he was like, "Dude, we got to do another one." I was like, "Do we?" And then I came up with this idea that he loves, and I'll talk about it right now. It's called The Wanted and the Unwanted, and it's a found footage. And
right.
we were going to go down to Costa Rica and shoot it. So it'd be about you know, David has that coffee company, so it'd be me and him playing ourselves, and it'd start off, and I'd get off and talk to David, be like, "Dude, I got this private investor who wants to get your coffee into who wants to franchise your coffee, get it into Walmart and shit, and like end caps and stuff. But we have to go down to Costa Rica where the beans are made and harvested, and just make a little documentary about that. And he's like, who's the private investor? He's like, I don't know, but his check cleared, you know. So then we end up down in Costa Rica, and it turns into like planes, trains, and automobiles, and then like our luggage and passports get stolen by monkeys and shit. And then him and I just start fucking just hating each other. So it starts off like a buddy comedy kind of thing.
Oh, that's
And
adorable.
then we chase the monkeys into the jungle, and then we're lost in the jungle, and so he's really fucking hating me. And then David gets kidnapped, and then I'm like, oh great, his wife is gonna fucking kill me.
By
And then
monkeys?
by like a cartel,
Okay, I thought we
And
were
then,
doing Indiana Jones.
No, right, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like that too. And then so I have to go try and find him, and then I find out that it's actually all this is like where the movie starts to become a movie. Then I find out that there's this underground ring that harvests celebrity organs and auctions
Holy
them
shit!
off.
Okay, hold on. Now,
Everything's underground with you, isn't it?
I
Totally,
love
yeah.
that. I'm telling you right now, I love that idea. But
Oh yeah,
have you
and that's who
written
the private investor was. That's why they wanted to get us down there.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
stop you. Don't give everything away yet. We want to
no, good.
tease that thing because I want you to make it.
Okay.
Okay, well there you go. All right, and now I guess because we've talked to you for enough time, I'll admit that I'm also Clark's agent. So
Ooh.
I'm also trying to book him in a movie.
Oh, you know, Clark, I already told you. Next thing we do, you're in.
Let's do it.
Oh, are you gonna play a cartel dude?
I could be a hell of a
Dude.
cartel dude. I don't know. I think if we're talking about, coffee, I feel like I could wear like a white linen suit,
Absolutely.
and then there, running the coffee plantation.
Be like John Hammond, but like a coffee plantation.
Yeah,
Spoon,
get one of those,
spoon,
get one of
no
those
expense.
big like Sam Neill Jurassic Park hats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Dude, Drew, this would actually be very therapeutic for him because he
Yeah.
had a math teacher that showed him a ISIS video
Ooh.
in math class, and it's really messed him up. So
Well, at that time it was Al Qaeda.
oh, it was Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
sorry.
Apples and
Oh,
oranges.
I like how ISIS didn't get much of a reaction out of Drew, but Al Qaeda.
Well, they're the OGs.
Yeah. So I think this could be really good for you, Clark.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I
Work
think
through my
it'd be great.
pain.
All right,
We could
Oksana's-
reenact it. We could reenact the Al Qaeda video.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, Oksana's faxing you a contract right now,
Yeah, it's a loose leaf paper. It's all crunched up.
dude. Drew, you're the fucking coolest dude. You gotta keep the hooks in David and get him making horror movies.
Oh yeah, he's up for whatever, man, for sure. He was actually trying to get me down there in November, and I was like, because like November is when that album comes out, The Wellers is out. It's like November. I sleep in November. I need some sleep, and then we'll talk about the other one for sure. It'd be easy to shoot, maybe like a long weekend in Costa Rica, and the third act takes place
Sounds
in like
rough.
a warehouse. But yeah, right, yeah. And then the third act would take place in like a warehouse. So like we could do that like anywhere, probably like Ohio or something like that. And so I got the movie kind of already plotted out, and I think it could be pretty cool. It could be a lot of fun.
Now, how is David doing? There was that whole like weak ass
Yeah.
scandal that popped up out of nowhere, which I mean, I never understood it because it didn't seem like he had done anything.
Yeah.
And like I got in like the Reddit community for Megadeth,
Oh yeah.
and there were all these memes. Now,
Mhm.
there was one meme that it was like, oh God, I don't want to fuck it up. I've said it on here before, but it was perfect. And it was like Dave Mustaine wanted to be like Megadeth so bad that he threw his own bassist under the bus.
That was fucking amazing. That was like holy shit.
Dude.
Yeah, and yeah, man, the whole thing was kind of it all started from those fucking Instagram trolls, and
Oh my
somehow
God.
they got a hold of that footage, and yeah, she was 100% of age and all that. It was just the way that they tried to portray the situation, which was completely false with the way they were doing it. Because recently I dove into that community on Instagram because they were just ripping apart that Lucid band and all that, and then
Wait, so what community?
it's just this weird. They're all 15 and 16-year-old little pieces of shit, and and
I still like that drop, Randy.
and to them it's the funniest shit in the world, and like it's like, oh, this guy's a this and that guy's a that, but they don't realize how fucked up it is when the press starts getting a hold of that stuff and being like, this is what it is, when it's all just made up shit from a bunch of 15, 16-year-old pieces of shit. And so
Okay, so they're 15 and 16. Are they like little like 15-year-old hard body hotties who are like, I'm gonna take nudes and send them to like every band I know?
15-year-old hard body hotties.
You just took it somewhere that I don't know. Oh, they're like these like geeky little kids, and
See, I don't even think they're real, because I know like the scam rap community has been going like huge, and one of the easiest scams to do in America is to make a fake account of a hot girl. You buy some followers, and then you just let dudes DM you, and they get money out of them.
That, you know what? And the thing with these, they're all obsessed with anime. I know that because it's all anime, and what happened was, from what I understand, which is actually the fact, because there's a whole like investigation and everything. They got all the accounts, and they're traced all around the world. But so the girl that did the video with it, she's in her like early 20s now, but she was like 19 when the whole thing. It was all adult stuff, you know, like that's. Yeah, that's.
So wait, hold on. What actually happened? Because I had a hard time even finding that.
So the girl who did the video with them recorded the video, showed it to a friend who showed it to a friend.
What are we talking? Like Chatterbait or something? Or
it was like a private like Skype or something. Not unlike this. It was like like something like this, and then she recorded it without him knowing, and so. She sent it to a friend who sent it to a friend, and it ended up in one of those fucking communities, or those 15, 16-year-old pieces of shit. And then they were like, oh my God, we've got gold here. Then they started making memes. They put the videos out and all that. And then they started saying that she was younger than when she was, which is untrue. And so it all blew up from there. And so that initial headline was like, you know, with the grooming or whatever, which is completely false.
Yeah.
But it all stems from those Instagram kids. Who got a hold of the footage.
Those 15-year-old pieces of shit.
Those little pieces of shit. And you know, and then I scared the fuck out of them a couple weeks ago. So they kept on spamming the Lucid, that new band with me and Dave. They kept on spamming it and death threats and all that. And then they started opening up these chats with the band and all that. And so I responded to them. I was like, hey, what's going on, guys? And they're like, oh shit. Oh man. And then you know what? I started talking to them like I was anybody else. I was like, how's everybody doing? And then they're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. We actually love the music. We actually, you know, think you guys are awesome. And I was like, you little motherfuckers. And then so I kind of, it's like when it came down to it, they're all just like looking for fucked up attention that they're not getting from their own parents or something like that, you know? Yep. And then so it was about 2/3 of that whole fucked up community. It was all good with. I told them, I was like, hey, you know, Dave didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. It's a Rolling Stone article that pulled the police report, because Dave did a whole criminal investigation with a team of lawyers and all that, and the authorities are working with him. And I explained that to them, showed them the articles. They're like, oh wow, we feel stupid now. I was like, yeah, don't you? You little 15-year-old pieces of shit. And then yeah, it was just the whole thing was just so fucked up. And really, he didn't do anything wrong whatsoever. And so
didn't the girl even jump on Twitter and she was like, "Hey, this is all like chill."
Oh, she did, yeah, immediately. Yeah, she did that immediately. She was like, she actually pursued him. It was all consensual. She was, yeah, she was 19 and all that, and she provided a driver's license to the authorities just to double that fact, you know. And yeah, so that's all 100% good, you know. And so yeah, and then. With that said, it was just kind of like, all right, let's just move along as per usual, and everybody's just starting to see that too, that he didn't do anything wrong. So I mean, it's just that initial headline that painted it to be like something like this gave power to the allegations when they were only just the allegations, and they were horrible allegations because of these fucking Instagram kids. And you know, it's like. You should have to take a fucking mental assessment to be on social media, or you know, or be like 18 and over or something, because it's like given the power of visual media to these kids who don't know how to aren't even fully formed yet, and they're making these fucked up memes, and they don't understand. It's funny to them, but they don't understand, like, you know. And then I completely got off of Instagram, because though like 2/3 of that whole fucked up community I'm all good with, that other 1/3.
Yeah.
They were sending me all kinds of fucked up death threats and like getting into detail of exactly how to kill myself and stuff. And I was like, I don't really got time for this. And then so I just got off.
Send
of
them
there.
our way. We could use the engagement.
Oh yeah, they're very engaging. That's for fucking sure.
It'll bump our numbers up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, you just start seeing a bunch of profile pictures of the anime characters. You know where you're heading. And
See Naruto, you got to turn around and run.
No,
yeah, they're all
getting
obsessed with that
random.
guy for sure. Yeah, run like Naruto too. And but yeah, man, yeah. So that was definitely a situation, definitely exacerbated by those fucking kids. And
Well, how's David feeling? Like, did the whole
he's
thing
great.
like?
He's
Yeah,
doing
right.
great now, man. I mean, he's excited about the Lucid. He's excited about the movie, and he got a lot of other cool shit going on. And the Megadeth stuff, you know what, give it or take it. But you know what though, Dave Ellefson's doing fucking great, man. He's
Awesome.
he's doing fucking terrific, and he couldn't be happier. And it's as the way I see it, it's just kind of like a huge weight got lifted off his shoulders, and he's finally able to be himself now. You know.
Hey, a lot of people, they take shit like that and they kind of reclaim power
Totally.
over the whole situation by making a movie about it.
Yeah.
If you wanna-
No.
you
Yeah.
can make
Yeah.
a fucking found footage movie about some
It'd be like a Lifetime
dude
movie.
stepping over the line with David.
Yeah, dude, totally, man. It's definitely probably something there for sure. Whether it's a book or a movie, I think and that is a total found footage movie too. With like you just see the social media screens.
Oh
and
hell
just
yeah!
And but
What a
yeah.
nightmare.
Go ahead.
I'm saying, like, what a nightmare situation. Like, I recently heard people talking about fame, and they were in like kind of like a C celebrity area, and they're like, the thing is, fame doesn't happen to a person; it happens to the fans. And it's that situation where like me and Oksana could run up to somebody, and if we meet Chris Angel together, it would mean nothing to me, but
Yeah.
she would be going crazy.
Right.
Like, here, do you want to?
False.
She would she'd be crying, overcome with emotion. And at the end of the day, it's not Chris Angel who's afflicted with fame, it's Oksana. She's the one with the problem.
Right.
Right? We got to dig up that photo so we can share it. Don't worry, if Drew gets his way, there'll be somebody harvesting his organs in no time.
Exactly.
I wonder
just
what
need
his
an address.
liver would go for on the black market.
I'll make if Chris Angel makes shit disappear, I'll make his own organs disappear. Maybe I'll do it.
Dude, there we go. Drew, man.
Yeah, it's an illusion.
You're a blast, dude. Do you read a lot?
Not really.
Just because we were talking about social media, and I just read a book that's from the perspective of somebody writing like on a 4chan type site.
Gotcha.
And I think the book is incredibly dark in content, but it does a really good job of illustrating how like internet trolls, there are people who need like community.
Exactly.
And they're not getting it in real life.
That's exactly what it is.
And when you turn around online, the way you make attention or you get like people to interact with you is to be vile. Like, go on Twitter. They want venom on Twitter. And if you put that anger out there, you'll get attention.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is too, because that's what when I started talking to these people, and they saw I wasn't like an angry, ugly, fucking asshole piece of shit, and they were like, "You're actually a nice guy," and then they got to see that I'm actually like a human being, and then they were making all these death threats, but then they felt terrible about it, But I gave them the time of day to be like, hey, how's it going? How are you? So it kind of humanized a lot of things a little bit for most of them too, when they actually turn out to be really, really nice people, but just misguided, just the disenfranchised youth,
Yeah.
and it's really fucked up and unfortunate. But then it got to a point where I'm like, I made my point, that I wanted to show them that, the entity of the Lucid is actually made up of real people. And then I was like, okay, cool. I made my point. I'm out of here. I just got out of Instagram on a high note, even though like a third of them wanted to see me dead. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it is fascinating and fucked up at the same time, because it's, really, you should be 18 and over to use that shit. In my opinion, for sure, because it's just, it's so fucked up on there, and it's really like when I first started diving into that, I had trouble sleeping, man. It really fucks with you, dude. just like the fact that somebody else wants to see you dead and all that, and it's all coming from all these 15, 16-year-old.
Yeah, you're not a real person to them, though.
Yeah,
You're just-
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It could they could easily be talking to an AI for all
Right.
they care.
Oh yeah, totally. And yeah, it's man, it was fucking nuts. And so I got out of there quick. And so if you ask me for where to find me, it won't be on Instagram. If you want to keep up with whatever I'm up to. But
Where can we find you?
I'm just on Facebook now. I'm just
Oh
on,
yeah, because that's much better.
yeah, no, actually, you know what? Actually, it's like I haven't seen anything. I mean, it's bad in a different kind of way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it's like probably just as bad in a different kind of way. But at least I don't got to worry about people telling me to, okay, now you need to step up on this kind of a chair, tie this kind of a rope to that kind of a ceiling fan, and then take a step in that direction. And so I won't be seeing any of that. So that's good. But yeah, that's.
Did they really do that? They went into detail. They're like,
totally.
"Fine."
It was almost impressive. But then I was like, man, I don't need to be reading this shit. And and then somebody was like trying to spam the Lucid and my name hashtag saying they were gonna come to my house and take a shit in my toilet.
I mean, at least it's in the toilet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is
And if they flush, everything's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they specifically said they were not going to flush and that it was going to be diarrhea. And then so I was like,
Light a
yeah.
candle.
Okay.
You're right.
That's clearly like a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah, totally. And so
I'm gonna take a watery poo poo in your toilet.
It's gonna
Exactly.
be green.
yeah, exactly. And but yeah, and it's fascinating you brought up that book though, because that's exactly what this is. It's just these kids looking for attention they're not getting in real life from like probably like the parents or something, and they're just spewing out this vile shit to get community. 'Cause
dude.
it's
Drew,
so
check that. It's a breezy read. I think it's like 150 pages and 30 of them are an intro. Because the content's so dark in that book that they try to like have a intellectual like brace you for it in the beginning.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
called Amygdalatropolis.
I'm gonna have to figure that.
I
shit
know.
out.
I just figured out how to pronounce that name like 3 days after I finished the book. But yeah, it's Amygdalatropolis if you want to read it. And then
I would have loved to hear you practice that.
oh, dude, that's the problem when I'm reading, and especially like fantasy novels.
Yeah.
You never have to say it out loud. So you can kind of like yada through the name. And then when I was recommending that book, I'm like, yeah. But check that out, Drew.
Definitely, we'll do, man. We'll do. I opened up a lot on this podcast.
You did.
We
Indeed.
tricked you. We drugged you before.
Yeah. But
But Drew, I hopefully this year, as long as everything goes planned, we're gonna be back in a real theater doing UF again. And
Ooh.
man, you're more than welcome. You should come out and hang out.
dude, yeah, it was in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Yep.
come kick it in the Bay Area, bro.
Yeah, man. I'll see if I can get me and Dave up there, man, just to come
Bring
check it
him
out.
out.
You know,
Party
and if
time.
you want to show like out of competition, like Dwellers again or something like that, we could do like an intro for it or something. Or maybe who knows? Maybe
Okay.
by that time we'll have that second movie done. But
Yeah, right. Go
Yeah.
harvest some celebrity organs.
yeah, exactly.
And short films are good too. If you want to make
That's
something
right.
short.
That's right.
Indeed.
Yeah, maybe,
Right.
man, maybe. And oh shit, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, Drew, you're trapped. We're never gonna let you go.
All
But
right.
now, okay, where can we find all your books and movies?
Yeah. When does Dwellers drop?
Dwellers comes out October 12th, so that's like I think like next week or something. And dwellersfilm.com, you could order the Blu-ray and all that. It'll be up on. I just got it submitted into Film Hub. You guys know anything about that?
Film
Film
Hub?
Hub?
I don't think so.
It gets it on like Amazon, and it's like an aggregator. It gets it on.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just waiting to see where it ends up from there. And so I'm sure to be on Amazon and all that digitally and such.
Yeah.
And so there's that. Then the Lucid, which is that new band with me, Ellefson, Vinny, the singer of Sponge, and Mike, the drummer from Fear Factory, and Raven. I know you're the Old Thrash guy.
Yep,
He's also in Raven. And that comes out October 15th. And we got the two songs out now, Maggot Wind, and Dan. And then the third one's coming out October 6th. That's called Hair. And so, yeah, that's really proud of that. I think you guys get a kick out of that. The cover art's really cool, too. It's this little kid about to hit this pinata, but it's a bomb.
So now,
Love it.
so do you make a whole album and then just release a song one at a time? Because I know that's like the new model.
Yeah. I mean, we don't got a label. I mean, we kind of preferred it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, because but yeah, so like ideally, like leading up to it, we were gonna drop like a couple songs just to kind of get a. I mean, we knew it was gonna get a lot of press anyway because of the whole Dave thing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you turned that into a positive. Why not?
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, hey, Dave's still out there. He's happy. He's working. He's proud of this album and all that, and people seem to be really getting a kick out of it. And it's more '90s sounding. It's like if Sponge sang for Megadeth, pretty much. And
and how about your documentary, Bang Tango?
Oh yeah, that's for free on YouTube. You could just look up Attack of Life, the Bang Tango movie, and the book by kind of my faux memoir, dark, depressing, and hilarious.
Did you just say faux memoir?
Yeah, kind of faux. Faux isn't like I don't take it serious, but it's all factual events. But yeah, it's
yeah.
Well, wait, he's self-deprecating, so he is his own foe. So it's FOE. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
right.
much.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking FAUX.
I know.
Sorry.
That too. Yeah, because it's weird calling it a memoir because it sounds so pretentious. So like I try and downplay it as much as possible. I'm like okay. Technically, it is a memoir, but it's like I'm trying to put the right word in front of it so people don't think
Drew,
it's like me.
You are so chill and humble that nobody will ever walk away from a conversation with you and turn around and go, that guy's a fucking douche. He's the most pretentious dude I've ever met. Dude, that has never happened to you in your life, I am sure.
Oh, yeah, no, but that sounds like a fun challenge, though.
Drew, I love you, man. You got to make a movie. We got to have you back on it sometime.
Whenever you guys want. Absolutely. Absolutely. Just let me know, man.
When you're flying Clark out to Costa Rica to
yeah, with this white linen suit. And it's a Clark, we need you in character the whole time. So on the flight, need you in the white linen suit, the whole shebang.
Let's do it. I'm a character guy, baby.
He picked up smoking cigarettes for a bit. He'll be in character.
I love it. That's great. I'm surprised you didn't pick up smoking cigars from doing Vernon.
Oh, I know, right? Well, those were, my friend, those were cigarillos. So,
nice.
They were terrible. They were gross.
That's awesome.
Drew, again, we love you, man. And
hey, love you guys too.
Keep us in touch, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I'm always here. So just reach out and say what's up whenever you guys want. I know Oksana has my number, so pass it around to everybody. And just keep in touch.
There we go. We'll put that up in the show notes.
Yeah.
Exactly. You, Drew, so.
He doesn't have a .com, but he has this.
Drew, love you, man.
All right, thanks.
Love you too, buddy.